I'm here, I'm ready, and so is Ina.
Cheating husband and his ex-wife treat me like a nanny, leaving me with their kids while they invade my house. My husband 40 male and I 30. For F have been married for 4 years. I came into my stepdaughter's 16F life when she was 10. Both her and my stepson, now 12 am, were somewhat neglected and had behavior issues when I met them. My husband and his ex aren't bad parents, but he travels a lot for work and she is a bit flighty and self-indulgent. My SD and I hit it off real well and I love both my stepkids. We all co-parented well, with me taking on a more active role in their school and other stuff. Both husband and his ex-wife were satisfied with me doing the grunt work for kids. They both travel a lot, and I became the sole parent who was fully engaged. I own a 3-bedroom house I had inherited from my parents, and husband and kids moved in to live with me. Kids love their rooms in our home and their lives in our town. The custody arrangement they have on paper is 50-50, but their mom doesn't have as much space as I do, so the kids are here almost full-time. A few months ago, I came back from an overnight school field trip with my stepson. To a very distraught SD, she found her parents together in my bedroom and was upset about the cheating. I was devastated to hear this from her. After some sleuthing, I found out that their affair had been going on for months, and possibly a whole year. I've been trying to get pregnant for the past 2 years, and we were having very frequent sex, and realizing that my husband was sleeping with us back to back was especially nauseating for me. I have filed for divorce and asked him to leave. He doesn't want this marriage to end, and seems somehow convinced that I'll change my mind. But he agreed to a separation and has moved out to an apartment. My SD was mad at both her parents and wants to continue living with me. Neither of them are taking any steps to move out the kids, who are still living in their rooms and living their lives, as if this family hasn't imploded. I have been happy with having the kids with me, but my problem is that both my husband and kids' mom feel at liberty to come into my house whenever they feel like it, because their kids are here. She feels no guilt about the cheating, and acts as if I'm the interloper. She treats me like I'm their nanny, expecting me to continue taking care of things for kids, and leaving me with instructions and criticisms. Meanwhile, my ex frequently drops by under the guise of seeing the kids, but keeps trying to control me into letting him move back. I love my SD, and I don't want to do anything to hurt her further, but I can't take living like this. The amount of hurt and anger I feel towards my husband and his ex-wife is too much, and it's painful to have to keep dealing with them. The absolute cheek of them to treat me like this is making my head explode. But I don't know what to do about the kids. Everyone in my life is expecting me to suck it up and do what's best for the kids. I love them, but this is becoming unbearable. Update to following the advice given. I talked with different lawyers to see what I could do too. In this situation, what I found out wasn't very promising, and the lawyer retainer fee for a custody fight is too high. With the separation, my money situation is pretty tight, and I couldn't afford to chase this issue legally. I've been stressed and working late these days. The day after I made the post, I was gonna be late home and asked SD to reheat the frozen lasagna I had made for dinner. When I arrived home, it was to both the kids having a meal with the ex and their mom. I'll call her MM had decided to turn it into a family dinner and set out the food I made on my formal dining table. With my nice dishes, she had created a pretty family moment. With her and ex under my roof, I completely lost it at that point. I regret to say I behaved abominably, screaming at her and my ex, and told them to get the hell out of my house. This happened Ed, in front of SS, who was pretty shocked. So far I'd kept him out of most of this mess. After my breakdown, I needed some time away, so I drove out to spend the weekend with my cousin. SD wanted to come with me and we left SS with his dad. SD was so sweet to me and very understanding of why I was upset. She hadn't invited her parents. Her mom had shown up and then she invited X for dinner. SD hadn't anticipated that I'd get this upset. Frankly, I am surprised too. That I blew up like that, that's not the typical me. After we got back, I let M know that she shouldn't come over anymore, and if she did, then I'll report her for trespassing. M didn't believe me and showed up to talk, and I lost it at her in this time. I did call the cops, they nicely asked her to leave and she did. SS was very upset at me for this. M showed up again the next day, acting all sweet and telling me that I am being unreasonable. And fortunately, I became pretty unhinged at this and swore and yelled at her. SS shoved me and screamed at me to shut up. I fell on my butt and was shocked into silence. M was pretty surprised too and left immediately, whereas SS ran and locked himself in his room. He called his dad to come get him, but he was out of town and AM ignored his calls. SS is a very loving kid, so his reaction was very heartbreaking. I understand where he is coming from though. M is his mother after all. M is also a very pretty person who comes across as very sweet and delicate. She's the type of woman people jump to help. It is natural that SS would feel protective of her. I hadn't expected that he'd turn on me though. The rest of the week was bad, with SS angry at me and refusing to talk to me. When his dad got back in town, he came and got him. SS told him he didn't want to live with me anymore. A few days later, X wanted me to take back SS, but the kid didn't want to come back. I told X I will not force him, and X got pretty mad at me. He wanted me to fix the situation somehow. When I refused to make SS stay with me, X became pretty mean. He said a lot of ugly things. The worst being that is relieved I didn't get pregnant because I'd make an awful mother. I was afraid of things turning out this way. But I've got X and M out of my house and that is a relief. SD is going to live with me till she moves out to college. X is struggling to find childcare for SS, and is so angry at me that I think he'll not slow down the divorce anymore. I want to fix this with SS, but a big, selfish part of me is afraid to do anything that'll bring his parents back in my life. I really don't understand Anne's actions and motivations in all this. She wanted to sleep with X, and I walked out of the picture and it was all hers. If she wanted her kids, it wasn't like there was anything I could do about that. If she didn't want her kids, I was already taking care of them. But she'd keep violating my boundaries with a smile on her face, and be all surprised that I am not happy about this. Right now, neither her nor X want to be the daily parent to SS, but he is angry at me enough that he doesn't want to choose me. I feel so crushed about that. Update 3 emotionally. It has been a lot of ups and downs. A lot of people messaged me suggesting that I should let SD go, and it's not healthy to have her staying with me. That may be so on paper, but it's not something I want to do. I met X a few years after my parents' death. I was very close to them and they passed away one after the other. I suffered from a lot of depression from grieving. My boyfriend at that time dumped me and I lost a lot of friends. When we started dating, I was coming out of my sadness but was still very lonely. SD and I became each other's supports very quickly. She felt neglected by her parents and had resentment towards them, and I suppose she loved the attention I gave her. I found her to be a loving kid and I liked bonding with her. SS and I were close to while he loved his mom. I did kinda assume that he was a loser to me. One of the resentments that SD held against her parents was that they were uninterested and dismissive of her extracurriculars. That led to her failing in some activities she was very passionate about. She's into a sport I was familiar with, and I spent a lot of time training with her and taking her to her events and classes. She is very good at it now, and it's going to be a source of scholarships for her and possibly get her into the college she is interested in. She is hardworking and ambitious, and I want to support her as much as I can. She has promised to keep her parents out of our home, and I hope she sticks with that till she leaves for college. X has been very angry and ranting at me in messages. I have stopped answering his calls and I don't reply to his emails. I've told him the only subject I'll discuss with him is divorce, and only through my lawyer. So he's been badmouthing me to a lot of our mutual acquaintances. A couple of people have gently chatted me for abandoning SS. One went so far as to say that women who become stepmoms should know what they are signing up for, and a real mother wouldn't leave her children. I am not good with conflict and haven't been able to respond properly. I've pretty much isolated myself from people, so I don't have to listen to comments like these. M is still blocked by me, and she hasn't made any more efforts to communicate with me, and that is a huge relief. A week after the last post still came down to see me. She lives 3 hours away, so I was pretty apprehensive that she was going to drive down all the way over here to talk to me. I asked to meet in a restaurant and she agreed. I was also worried about talking to her because while she's been polite and nice with me, she wasn't still as M's friend. She told me X had urged her to talk to me about SS, and she completely disagrees with him about that. She said I've been a great stepmom to SS, but he's not my responsibility. X was honest with her about his affair, and she supports me getting divorced. She said a lot of supportive things to me about moving on and looking after myself, and also thanked me for taking care of SD still. That was nice, but then she went on to add that she wasn't surprised by the affair at all. She was surprised that X married me. She was like, you should have seen this coming. Though she didn't come out and say it, the insinuation was that Emma is so much better than me. She's prettier, more successful, more charming, and X would jump on the chance to be with her. That was just great to hear. Peachy though. It's easy for me to accept now that I am not the smart one here because I didn't see it coming at all. I was happy and in love with my family. The upside to that meeting is that X has stopped harassing me. I haven't heard anything from him since, and I think he has stopped talking about me to others too. I don't have anything on SS yet though. SD told me he's alright and waiting for summer vacation to start. A few of you said that and might have been interested in taking my house. I don't think so. She does alright by herself and has a good career. She has a rather spendy lifestyle and lives in a very fancy two-bedroom apartment in the city, while my house is in a child-friendly but state suburb. I hope things continue to be quiet, because I need to get my head straight and focus on work, or I may get fired and my job is the one thing going for me right now. Update for we had a court date, and the judge ordered mediation and put this off for a few more months. I was hoping this would be a wrap-up. After all, we don't have kids together and I want nothing from X. I didn't bring up custody for SD or SS and he didn't either. All I want is a divorce and to walk away with what I brought in. My house and my car. X isn't fighting for those. But he's still saying he doesn't want a divorce. With man, he's left me to messages asking to talk. I've ignored him. The mediation will be over Zoom, which to me sounds more comfortable than in-person meeting. SD and I are doing well living together. M is silent, nothing from SS so far. Update 5, I am divorced. Papers are signed, judges signed off. It's done. I am so relieved. I was scared that this would drag on for longer. The first mediation meeting was a shit show, with X trying to talk at me that we should go through marriage counseling. The mediator was a very firm woman who kept the conversations in control, though we had a couple more mediation emails and he agreed to sign off. I was still nervous about how it'd go today, but X played nice and signed off on everything. A very nice surprise was that he voluntarily gave me our entire joint savings account. I was not expecting that I had asked for half of it. Though in reality he has put more in it than I did. I have been okay with taking just my portion. But he surprised me by giving me all the money. It was our emergency savings. So not a rich amount, but a nice high five-figure number. I am so relieved about it. Money had become tight with lawyer fees and changes in. This helps emotionally also. It made me feel better about myself. I may be wrong, but my heart wants to read this as his, acknowledging that he screwed me over and I deserve something back. Update 6. I can write things down here that I can't talk about in real life. I am making a big show of being happy and social and carefree to people in real life, but honestly I am so damn miserable and sad. The first couple months I soldiered on out of pure spite and determination to remake myself, but it's devolving into sadness. I've been avoiding hearing anything about X or M, but SD has been having some issues, and she vented to me how mad she's at her parents. MOM mostly X and M didn't last long. They were having fights and issues well before my divorce finalized. M immediately started dating someone else, and from what I hear, she's happy in this current relationship and is so into it. She hasn't even met either of her kids in the past 2 months. Only video calls. X had to juggle a lot of things to adjust his work schedule and get dependable childcare for stepson. He's dating to now a much younger woman. X and M used to co-parent well, but I guess I was the one really doing that because right now they hate each other and hardly ever talk. One would think that it'd make me happy, seeing them fall apart from each other, but it's only making me more angry. My life was ruined, the kids' happy home was destroyed. And for what I miss my old life so much. A lot of it was a lie, but I was so happy and full of purpose then. I am just feeling lost right now. I have tried dating and have been on a lot of dates, but they have all been bad or wrong. People around me have been setting me up with divorced dads, and no offense to them, but I can't do that again. I actually had one date, which felt more like an interview for a nanny role. It made me so depressed. SD is doing great though, and it brings me a lot of joy. I am a little scared of the time soon when she move out. And it'll be just me in this big house. I've talked to SS on the phone a couple of times. That boy has grown up and changed so much. It feels like we were separated for years. He's going to come for a sleepover during the Halloween weekend, and I am pretty excited about that. SD was going to babysit him at X's place while he travels, but I okay having him with us since it's Halloween. Update 7. I don't know if anybody will see this update after all this time, but I had left this at a sad note a couple years ago, and that doesn't feel right. I had stepped away from Reddit because I was getting quite a bit of negative messages. Some people making fun of me and calling me names. Most of you have been so amazing and helpful, but a few mean messages still got to me. My life has been good since then. I had stopped dating and gave up on online apps. I did well with making a few friends and staying busy with having an active life, a good career and hobbies. Eventually, I met my current partner on a hiking trip. My daughter has been a constant ray of sunshine in my life, and we are very close. She introduces me to people as her adopted mom. LOL, and I don't refer to her as Step. She is doing great at college. She's growing into an awesome person, and my home is her home when she visits from school. Things are a bit more complicated with my former stepson. He has been upfront that he doesn't want me as a parental figure in his life and is not interested in being close to me. I respect that. I still stay in touch with him, but as a distant friend. We exchange jokes and sometimes we three get together for dinner. He is in therapy for depression and anger issues, so I don't want to let go of him completely. Regarding the guy I am with now, this is by far the best romantic relationship of my life, and I am very happy. I am pregnant now. Second trimester, and we are both excited. The pregnancy was unexpected, but I'm thrilled about it. I was trying so hard to get pregnant in my previous marriage, and all that trying and medical interventions didn't help. And now I'm pregnant despite condoms. The relationship is still new and I am treading carefully. One of the best parts is that his family is amazing. His parents are very sweet and accepting, people who already treat my daughter as their grandchild and are very excited about the baby. Now on to second story. Father replaced our special tattoo with one matching his new family, and now he's avoiding our court-ordered time together. My father 41 male, and my mother 40F. Divorced 3 years ago. I live with my mother. My father remarried a year ago. His wife has 2 children, 18F 15 meters. Emmy 18F, and my dad got a matching tattoo 2 years ago. It was a simple outline tattoo of a photo of us. After my dad got married, things started to get a bit more distant between us because he started to spend more time with his new family. Besides that, I think he does want to see me around them. I don't know why after all. I've never treated his wife or stepchildren bad. Yesterday he refused to meet me on a weekend when we were supposed to spend time together, saying he was unavailable, and he reposted a story of him hanging out with his new family. That while looking at the photo, I saw that he got a new tattoo on his arm. It was an outline tattoo of a photo of him with his new family, just like the tattoo he got with me. Now I know that millions of people have these tattoos, and it's not my original design. Still, I'm disappointed that he got a tattoo with his new family, in the same style as ours, because I always thought that tattoo was special between us. Now I'm thinking of getting it covered or removed. I called my dad in the evening and asked him why he was hanging out with his family. Instead of meeting me, he said they planned it earlier. which doesn't make sense because it was agreed in court after the divorce that I could spend time with my dad every weekend. So we planned it earlier is a pretty bullshit excuse. He also knows that I'm totally okay with spending time with his family. When I told him that, he said it's not that simple. I guess I'm too dumb to understand complicated things, because he doesn't even try to explain it, lol. Then I asked him why he got his new tattoo in the same style as ours. He said he didn't think it would be a problem for me. I told him you broke something special between us. How can you not realize that? I think I'm going to get my tattoo covered. You can do the same in result. He thinks I'm overreacting and I shouldn't be so selfish. My mom says what my dad did wasn't such a bad thing. She thinks we should sit down and talk. I'm not sure. To edit tomorrow, I will try to talk to my dad face to face. I hope to discuss openly about whatever the issues are between us and find a way out. I don't think my mind will change about the tattoo, but I will not rush to get it covered. Update: he won this morning. We had breakfast together and had a long talk. It turned out that the problem all this time was my stepsister. He told me that she was struggling with the whole marriage. The reason he got the tattoo was to show her that he loves her as much as he loves me. He also said that she didn't feel at ease around me, which I was really surprised about. We hadn't fought once and we hadn't even been together long enough to have any disagreements. That's why he didn't invite me that day. He wanted to be a good father figure in her life still. He said that I might get closer to my stepsister in time. Who knows, when he also said I can get my tattoo covered if I want, but he would never do that to his. For him, the tat still has the same special meaning. Honestly, it would really make me feel like an odd to get mine covered. While he keeps his, I'm not sure what to do. Lastly, the hardest thing for me was finding out that they were moving to another state. His wife got a better paying job, and he's going to start a business with a friend there. He told me that he will be very busy with all the moving, but will spend as much time with me as possible until he moves. He also promised to visit me often after the move, which I don't think he'll be able to keep. I guess he's really moving into a part of his life where there's not much I can do about it. Update 2. Today my stepbrother replied to my story and we started talking. I told him about the latest things, and he told me a lot of things I didn't know. He said that it's true his sister doesn't feel at ease around me, but she never said anything to my dad about not inviting me. In fact, her discomfort isn't so great that she couldn't stand to be in the same place with me. It was my stepmother who asked him not to invite me that day, and she came up with the whole idea of the tattoo. He said his mom doesn't like my mom at all. He's not sure if this is based on something or not. When I asked my mom about it, she said she never met that woman even once. I think her dislike for me comes from her baseless hatred for my mom, and my dad played along with her also. I didn't mention here, but my dad told me they are moving in November. My stepbrother told me they are moving next week, and that was the plan all along. He told me he is sorry for what happened to me, and only told me these because he thought I had to know the truth. He also asked me not to let his mom know about this conversation. My dad wasn't really like that. He was a good man, I mean. All those lies cutting me out of his life. That's not like him. I don't understand why you turned into such a person, but I really don't want to talk to him once more to get it. He's moving away next week anyway. I told my mom about this and asked her to call my dad. Tell him that I would never see him again. My mother passed this on to him without mentioning the conversation. I also blocked my dad from everywhere. Soon I will get the tattoo covered. Update 3. Hi. I just log into this account and see people asking how I'm doing. 3. I want to give a little update. It's not too cheerful. Skeptical my dad really moved away that September, just before they came to our house to talk, but I couldn't confront him still. I broke no contact. We ended up talking on the phone many times. He promised a lot that he would make things right between us. He would come to visit me, and he didn't keep any of it. 2 weeks ago, I stopped talking to him again. I've also been going to therapy since the new year. It's not only for my dad, I have other problems too. My therapist is really nice and she helps me a lot. Apart from all of this, my life is actually pretty good. I have my mom and friends who are there for me. Lastly, I kept the tattoo.